Fit for Life Radio, episode number 116. Will and I coming at you this week. We are going to be diving into fad diets.
A lot of them. Ridiculous ones.
Ranking or talking about the most ridiculous fad diets. And really more just, kind of having a chuckle a little bit at what we used to believe at one point and helping you see the common theme of the history of fad diets.
And they just keep coming back. It's not like in 1950 they just decided like, oh, let's do something wild. They've been doing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And then hopefully what to do about it all and realize why would a fad diet even work? Because they do, or they can, but it also depends on what are you trying to achieve.
Yeah, there's some cool ones.
Yeah, cool.
Well, not cool, but interesting, maybe a better word.
So, let's go back.
Let's go back in time.
175 BC. With the Cabbage and Urine diet.
I got it. Just go ahead, man.
Back then, you think they had like a library? Like you go to a Barnes and Scrobbles? Flipping through the scrolls, and you're like, the Cabbage and Urine diet.
Yeah, I never thought of this. How do you find out about stuff like this? Just the streets back then?
I don't know.
There was an apothecary.
But Mr. Cato the Elder.
The Elder.
Was a Roman statesman, writer, and public speaker, so that's probably how. And he was a massive fan of cabbage.
And you know this dude just had a cabbage farm, and he was like, man, how can I sell more cabbage?
He not only promoted eating plenty of cabbage, but also drinking the urine of people who had a diet high in cabbage.
Stop it.
So you see right there where sometimes so he was a writer and public speaker.
And he probably had some charisma.
So it's almost the same as now, where unfortunately, anyone that wants to, like us, say stuff.
You can.
You can say what you think and what you feel and what you want with no... sometimes people latch on to
it. And if you're confident enough, people are like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So always just remember, just because someone says something, us included.
And if it feels ridiculous, it probably is. Man, drinking urine, though.
Hey, can you picture if he had, like, Instagram now? He'd be like, what do you think his handle would be? Cabbage Man? 00.
I don't know, man. Cabbage P?
So, anyways, he believed that cabbage... So here's the problem, right? And this is what happens nowadays with claims. People tie their identity to specific, diets or things, and then they're going to be biased, right? Yeah. And then if they build if they build their brand on a specific method, they can't afford.
You can't go anywhere else
to then, evolve, right? Because then their whole brand crumbles.
And, dude, people's expectation of other people, like, say his followers know him as the cabbage guy. So if one day he was like, oh, you know what, man, cabbage isn't it. Well, then all the people that have this, like, expectation and image of him are going to be really upset that he's not fitting into that box anymore. And no one's going to want to listen to you when you do that. And it's an unfortunate reality of something like that.
And a common one is the insulin theory of obesity.
Oh, yeah.
Where Gary Taubes is kind of the originator.
Yeah.
And
he's the big name I know. I don't know if anybody else is.
There's another guy. But yeah, we'll see if we can find the guy. But yeah, there's a lot of proponents of the insulin theory model of obesity, and it just doesn't hold up, right? But some of these people have built their brand, written all their books on it, and they can't change, right? So, and one of them, Gary Taubes, even they did an entire study, funded, like solid study, to where he was like really probably hoping this was going to prove him right.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said if it did not prove his theory, he would admit to it. And ironically, the study, which was a very popular study,
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I'll find the exact study where it was very well done. Lots of people, and they equated calories as equal, and then had some people on low carb and some people on low fat. And if you're not familiar with the insulin theory of obesity, it's that when we eat carbs, our body releases more insulin, which is a storage hormone. So yeah, then our body will store these nutrients, but it doesn't just store it as fat. It also stores stuff in muscles and things like that. It's required. And so a lot of people think, oh, well, if we just don't release a lot of insulin, we won't store body fat.
Yeah, and you won't gain any weight.
So yeah, if you just eat basically mostly fat, calories, lowish, moderate protein, fat, avoid carbs, it's impossible to gain
gain weight. And that's a lot of the high-fat keto community for a while, and I think it's still out there, have this understanding that you can eat as much food as you want as long as you don't eat carbs and you won't gain any weight. And that's just not true.
Yeah, and so a simple debunking is, okay, if this model and theory were true, then how could anyone, which has been done, and like the study showed, well, people that eat carbs every meal can still lose weight and do lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one. So how's that possible? And then the flip is, it would also mean that if you only ate protein and fat, it wouldn't matter how much you ate, you would never gain body fat. And here's the thing. There's people who only eat protein and fat and have gained and do gain body fat, body weight. How is that possible?
You can't go against
physics. So right there,
man.
it's done. But anyways, he still ran the study because the kind of contrary to that is that it comes down to your energy intake, right? So if your calorie intake. So he ran a study equating the high fat people diet and low carb versus high carb and low fat. They were each consuming an equal amount of calories, and then lo and behold, they all equally lost the same amount of weight.
Actually, so the other guy's Robert Lustig, right? He's the guy who coined sugar being a poison. And then, so on the study, the low-carb diet led to a 22% reduction in insulin secretion, okay? Which is what you would expect when you're not eating carbs. However, the people in the low fat actually lost more fat than the people in the low carb, which is actually the opposite of what they were trying to prove.
So what happens when you eat is that insulin goes up.
Yeah.
So that caught me off guard. Yeah. It was probably one of the best as far as like how the study was set up. Like it says, like it was very, very meticulous, very obsessive, and all their food was controlled for. So like it was a good study. It just didn't have the outcome that he wanted. Yeah.
And another one is Jason Fung. So Jason Fung, Gary Taubes, Robert Lustig, they all, and if you look, you'll notice they all have books. They all have brands. Everything built on this one theory.
Yeah.
Right? So that's normally not then where you want to get all your information from.
No.
And here's the thing. So yeah, they've all promote maybe like a lot of intermittent fasting and low carb, high fat diets. And here's the thing.
Which aren't terrible.
Those are methods that can work great. It's just that the mechanism they're working isn't the insulin theory, right?
Yeah.
So if you enjoy eating higher fat, lower carb foods and being the majority of your diet, and it helps keep you in check with your overall intake, it's going to work, right? But then some people who find they try that and they hate it and they're trying to force it, go find a different method, right? Don't kind of fall for the fad right now, like that is the fad, right? Is that those kind of diets are in favor. But we meet just as many people who come in, they're like, I'm doing keto and I'm gaining weight. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, what should I do?
Yeah. And yeah, so that's how fad diets kind of start. So now we'll go back to...
We'll hit a couple more.
To where we were with the Cabbage and Urine diet. So you see, it's someone who's already partial to it, builds his whole image in brand on it, and he's going to always push that narrative.
Well, it even said, man, that he failed to save the lives of his wife and son doing the cabbage soup and urine diet, but still kept on it. Even after that, he wouldn't give it up. Yeah. So he was tied to that, it was part of his identity, and he couldn't see anything else.
It gets tied to your identity, to your ego, to where it's not even about other people. You don't want to be wrong because at one point you believed this.
Yeah, and then your world comes crashing down if you're wrong and you have everything tied to it.
So that's kind of the root, right? So when you now compare to 175 BC to 2022, you see how people can get rooted in this stuff. So
still the
one
same
thing
stuff.
always is listen and follow people who are diet agnostic, right? They're looking for principles and not just specific methods and saying this is the only way.
Yeah, when things are overly specific, like the cabbage and urine or some other ones we'll go over, then it's generally not going to be your best bet.
And we're lucky. Yeah, we're fitness professionals. We work in the industry for decades. And you see things that I've seen a client lose 100 pounds on a carnivore, all meat and fat diet. I've seen a client lose 50, 60 pounds on a vegan diet. So high carb, low fat, we've seen people, so the different methods, they can work fine. And they worked because that person enjoyed it and could do it over the long haul and consistently. So telling and preaching this is the only way is normally a red flag.
Always.
So now we'll
get into some ridiculous ones.
Move along here to the arsenic diet pills in
my God.
the late 1800s. These Victorian diet pills were advertised as miracle cures, which could speed up the metabolism. Wow. Does that sound familiar? And obviously most of us are familiar with arsenic and arsenic poisoning.
Just a poison.
So that one's been around forever, right? Like a quick fix. Let me take this pill. Let me speed up my metabolism. Someone's tagged me in something on Facebook the other day. It was some little bean looking thing that you put over your belly button and put tape over it. And
what's the bean do, man?
I don't know. I couldn't.
I need to know.
It made me uncomfortable.
Well, I don't like if it having anything touch my belly button, so that's a no-go for me.
But in this one, I think most people, unless you're in a desperate situation and you just don't want to make any real changes, let me try this fat loss pill, right?
And they're still around and they're everywhere.
Most people, wise up to that stuff, so I don't think we need to spend too much time there. But you see, it's quick fixes, easy, so people are going to fall for it.
This next one, man.
The early 1900s? You want to drop it on them?
I got it. So this one is the tapeworm diet. You eat a tapeworm and, and
this is a good one, right? Because in actuality, it kind of works.
It does because it eats your food for you.
But then it's okay, what's the
downside?
What are the downsides?
I'll tell you the downside. So the risks, organ swelling because you have a worm inside your intestines, anaphylaxis because you're having an allergic reaction to a worm that's inside of you, infections, appendicitis, damaged vision, meningitis, epilepsy, dementia. As we know, there's a good gut-brain connection. It probably messes everything up. Or even death. So, you could die with a worm inside of you if you do this. Now, you will lose weight. I guarantee. You're probably not going to out-eat the worm. That sounds like a challenge. But, yeah, so, don't eat a tapeworm because it does work, but, is it worth it?
Yep. And, that one, I guess that one's hard to reproduce.
Yeah.
In common times, I don't think most people we've learned from that, right?
Yeah. The only one that would be even remotely close to that, do you remember, I'm sure it's still out there, the supplement that made you not process fat? You just it just came straight out the other end. You remember, it's called Alli?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
I didn't know that's what it actually did.
Yeah. So your
body would somehow make you not digest.
Yeah, lipids. It bound to lipids somehow so that you didn't digest them and you just pooped them out.
There's another one too that does something with your maybe your hunger or your mask something to where you're just never hungry.
Yeah, I think there's another one of those. But the biggest side effect of the one I was talking about was random anal leakage. Stuff just just come out, and I don't think that's a side effect I want to live with.
It comes with diapers.
Yeah, it should. But that's the only one that even comes close to the tapeworm, I think.
What if that's what Kim Kardashian did? And she has a big old diaper.
She's got a diaper, yeah. That's where it came from.
That's what it's been the whole time. Big old diaper butt.
Oh, man. This next one.
All right, so the 1929, the Reach for a Lucky diet. And if you're not familiar, a Lucky brand cigarettes, right? And you would, which some people, I mean, and it does, nicotine does have a appetite suppressant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, the diet was smoke our cigarettes and you won't miss sweets that make you fat.
Yeah.
Look how much advertising's changed in the way you can say stuff.
Yeah, because you can't say that anymore.
They literally had a campaign that said, reach for a Lucky instead of a sweet. And light a Lucky and you'll never miss sweets that make you fat.
It's no wonder that so many people used to smoke and still do, but my God.
Yeah. And it was very successful campaign for them. So that one,
I mean, if we're being honest, like, it might actually work because, like, nicotine does suppress your appetite, but
then you have to see. So this is where it also starts to creep in with not having a true understanding. So say someone does want to lose excess body fat, but then food becomes the bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we overlook the importance of food and how it's about balance. Right? So if it's we'll do these other things
and not eat
that maybe negatively impact us to avoid just not eating. But the reality is you really want to have the mindset of I want to fuel myself, right? And then I want to balance that fuel with the intake I need. It's a little too simple, but it's still a pretty good analogy, with a car. You can't just overfill your tank, it's going to overflow.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run. Up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run. Up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
But you still need gas. You can't. And down, I know some and Tesla fan out there is like, no, you don't
get
need
a
gas.
battery.
So same thing, but you eventually your battery's full, right? And you still need electricity.
And you still got to charge your battery.
Yeah. So you have to shift your mindset to just like food is bad. I have to avoid. It's the enemy to. What are things that help support a proper intake? What are when I say things? What are foods that help support a proper intake for me that I don't avoid overeating? Things like that. You don't want to create this mindset of like,
how do I not eat at all? Which is just a real bad relationship with food.
And to where all food is the enemy, right?
Yeah. This next one is basically that. It's the in 1976, the Sleeping Beauty diet. And you could probably guess what this is. People were just voluntarily sedated so that they didn't eat for a couple of days, which, again, avoiding just eating food in general and being sedated because they didn't have the control to not eat, you know? So again, really digging this hole of a terrible relationship with food, which, like, being sedated is inherently risky too, depending on, what you use. So that's one big risk. And if, people are doing it on their own, not everybody was doing it with a medical professional. So, like, then what if you overdose? Then you die, your heart stopped. It just, the risks really outweigh the benefits. And you could just fast. If you want to not eat, like, you could just be awake and not eat food. And that would actually, in some cases, like, help your relationship with food and understanding hunger. But knocking yourself out's not the way to go.
Yep.
So.
And then, that's kind of a history from, over some years. And yeah, you see the common themes of the extreme nature of these things. And even now, in more recent history, there's just tons of different diets, right?
Yeah, they never stop.
And they're all it would be like, there was one that was like the cookie diet or something, right?
You just eat these high fiber cookies all day.
They've even done in a clinical setting, the rice diet. And what were some other ones we saw? There's the grapefruit juice diet.
Yeah, that's one that, dude, still kind of floats around every once in a while.
And yeah, these things will work initially because think about it. If you're only eating one thing, it typically means you're eliminating everything else you were eating. And if you end up eating less overall in the short term, it will lead to some weight loss, right? But again, when you're just eating one food that is nutritionally incomplete, it's going to lead to some problems, right? It's not going to be sustainable. You're going to have cravings, not because you're a bad person or wrong, but because your body's trying to get the nutrition it needs, right? So you see that fad diets in general, are rooted in all or nothing, extreme.
Very limiting for the most part. So very reductionist and like what you can eat.
And again, what that does is some people, minority of people may find they enjoy it. They happen to fall in line with that approach. So we even, less extreme obviously than one food, but you have stuff like carnivore diet, vegan diet, low carb diet, low fat diet. And they're eliminating entire food groups, right? Now, it's not as bad as eliminating everything, but some people will find it just fine, right? And yeah, they're happy. They're able to thrive on a vegan diet. They enjoy the foods. They're able to get the nutrition they need. They like putting in the extra work to make sure they're getting the combination of nutrition. Or someone on a keto diet, they don't miss carbs. They feel fine. Their energy levels are good.
That can work just perfectly.
They enjoy their meals. So, and then it leads to success and sustainable success. That's awesome. That method was working for them. But the problem comes when then someone else is like, oh, well, I got to do that. They had success. And you get into it and you're like, this is awful. I miss such and such. I can't keep this up, but I got to keep trying harder.
Because you think that that's the way.
When the reality is like, no, you just need to find the underlying principles and make an approach that works for you.
Yeah.
Right? So again, the underlying principles are, most people just need food awareness, right? You need some kind of accountability to your intake, right? And finding an appropriate intake that helps you maintain a healthy weight. And it's really just working at it.
Yeah, that's all. And yeah, you have to work and not try to take a shortcut.
Most of these fad diets, are shortcuts. They are easy because they give you a very strict list of rules, so there's less effort you have to put in because it's just like follow these rules.
Yeah, just eat cabbage and drink your own pee.
Yeah, but then it's not going to be sustainable. What if you don't have any friends that that eat a lot of cabbage?
Yeah, then you're out of luck.
You're out of
man.
pee.
Yeah,
right? You're out of urine. So take the time, even though it's longer, to take smaller steps and create your own diet.
Yeah, the more drastic the immediate change when you maybe try a new diet or way of eating, probably the worse it's going to be, So just judge it at face value. Take a step back and ask yourself, is this too ridiculous?
Yeah, and some current ones.
Oh yeah, this one I do want to touch on.
We have one that we get a lot about lately is the blood type diet.
Man, people have been asking about this for years. What it says is that, like, you, depending on your blood type, you have, like, certain foods will fit better for you or your body metabolizes them better.
When it's even more, it's like, if you're type O, you're probably a hunter.
Oh, God. I didn't know it was that deep. I feel like I read the book years ago.
So you do better with, like, meat. And then, each one kind of has its own thing. And the reality is our blood has little to do with, like, food digestion and metabolism.
Yeah, it's just...
And again, what it's saying, the stuff that normally contradicts is if you have, if it was such a strong correlation, how do people then who say don't have a type O blood type, but eat majority, maybe meat is a big part of their diet, and they successfully manage their weight and have good health markers, how is that possible?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous because people all around the world have, eaten in specific ways to their region, and they were fine, and they thrived, and they were good. So it's a little bit ridiculous to think that would have any impact.
Yeah. And the real thing about people are we can manage on a vast array of food.
Yeah, we're very adaptive.
Based on, our environment, and the reality is our environments before were quite scarce, and if it was winter and cold, you would probably eat a lot of animals.
Yeah, because nothing grows.
A tropical environment, you probably ate a lot of plants, right? And
that's a very wide range.
Yeah. And then the reality is now, if you live in a country like the United States, you have a abundant
you can eat anything
food supply, and we typically eat a bunch of junk food that's easy to overconsume, and that's our environment. And now we're seeing negatives to that.
Oh yeah, big time.
So now we have to battle it with tools. To help us, be aware of that overconsumption.
Yeah, things that people don't think we should have to do. Well, look at the environment.
Yeah. Because before, nature would intervene.
Well, yeah, you'd have to do a whole lot of work to get your food.
Yeah, or if there's an abundant time, there was typically going to be a time where there wasn't abundance built in. You didn't have a choice.
Yes, you're not just drowning in berries and fish all the time.
You get a woolly mammoth, but then you finish and you're full, but you know that there's a box of Oreos in your cave, and you added, I had no willpower, Steve.
Go eat those Oreos, baby.
It just didn't exist, right? You would have just sat there if you were hungry and been like, well, I got to go find more food.
I better go do some work.
What'd you have to do? You had to walk around, you had to carry stuff, you had to think about it. Maybe it took 2 days.
Yeah, planning to do it. Just
now, what do? You just go to the store and get some Oreos.
Yeah, takes 1 minute to go there,
and you can eat the whole box and then be like, I want more.
Damn, I'm hungry.
And go get them.
Nah, that's the problem. You know another one? This one just is kind of funny because it's the egg and wine diet, which was, if anybody's never heard of this, it was published in Vogue in like what, the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah, we showed this to one of our clients who loves wine.
yeah, and it was basically
It's not the worst.
It's not. It's really not. It's for breakfast and lunch. You have eggs and wine, and then dinner is steak. And then basically you have a bottle of wine across your whole day. Some for breakfast, some for lunch, the rest for dinner. And then you have eggs, and then steak.
Yeah, so you're getting protein.
And you're getting some fat.
Complete protein from the eggs and steak. You're getting a lot of nutrition that's hard to get elsewhere. You get it from those foods. You're getting your polyphenols from your wine, your plant compounds.
It could be worse.
And then obviously the calorie count on that is going to be like, I don't know, 1,000, 1,200.
Probably.
So yeah, so if you did it now over time, are you missing some things? You know,
is a bottle of wine a day a good idea?
Yeah, 50% of your calories coming from alcohol, which is a toxin, definitely has negative.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of positive being attached to that.
Nah. But yeah. Still better than drinking your own pee and eating cabbage. So, that's a good one. There's a lot of them. I got a lot of them here. I'm going to have to go through all of them. Let's see if there's any good ones. I mean, there's the fruitarian diet that I actually have seen a lot on the gram
like
lately.
30 bananas a day.
Yeah, it's like an insane... Like, really, all you eat is fruit, for the most part. And then, like, probably a very small, percentage of, like, vegetables and maybe a few added fats, but like 80% of your calories is from fruit, which your protein is going to be insanely low. So, in my educated opinion, it's not the best because you're missing out on an entire macronutrient that we need, and it's not even fruit isn't it's not a complete protein if there is any in there at all. So, not the best to eat only fruit. That would probably make Gary Tops trip out, man. Just fruit.
All that insulin.
All that insulin.
What exactly is the South Beach diet?
I thought it was just like a low-carb diet. Why don't you get into that?
It's a balance of complex carbs, lean protein, and healthy fats. So it's pretty sensible.
So it's like a moderate diet. Anything...
They just do that South Beach name?
Yeah, to make it
so
seem...
you think of like bikinis.
Mm-hmm. Is the picture like a couple in their 40s in bathing suits walking on the beach? Because that's what I think of when I think South Beach diet.
Then they came out with all their diet products.
That's the other thing, too. There's always going to be supplements and products associated with fad diets for the most part. Let's see what else, man. I mean, there's a lot of forms of it.
Yeah. So, it's pretty
juice
solid.
fasting.
The South Beach diet is kind of similar to like a Whole30, where it's the foundation and intention as well is good, but then they start really like eliminating lots of things and kind of make them seem like they're completely off limits.
Yeah.
And then you develop eating disorders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feel like you can't have certain things, or then you end up in binge cycles when you're off your South Beach diet. Those are the things you want to watch out for.
You ready for this one? I think I could do this. This was in the 20s, man. The lamb chop and pineapple diet.
Oof.
You're actually getting everything you need, although it is very limiting. Lamb is typically like, a little bit of a fattier meat, and so you're getting your protein, you're getting your fat, you're getting all of the micronutrients that are in red meat, and then you got pineapples for your fiber and your carbs, and, all of the micros that come in fruits.
Mm-hmm.
So
breakfast, lunch, dinner, daddy.
I mean, that you could do way worse than that.
And it's funny because it's like you listen to like Paul Saladino now, and there's people who are like just eat from this limited selection of foods, and there's people that are just like it seems so cutting edge, and then you look and what was this?
1920s.
Yeah,
lamb
there's
chops
a
and
lamb chop
pineapples.
and pineapple diet. So nothing's new. Nothing is new. Yeah, so the cons to this is it ultimately lacks variation.
Yeah.
Right? And the reality is you could expand that out and have well, let's have lamb chop or steak or chicken or fish.
Yeah.
Let's have papaya or
Bananas
or berries or apples. And you can actually then have a lot to rotate.
Yeah, then your variety is huge, but it's the same basic premise.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot easier to maintain. Like, what if you can't get lamb? Do you just not eat? You got to have something else. So that's the hard part with limiting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this for 30 days. I'm going to be a new man when I'm done.
I mean, it's funny you say that because I've been on a pineapple kick lately.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw you had it the other day.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'll do, right? I actually don't mind like a limited.
You'll go hard
selection,
and then switch.
But I'll kind of rotate. So I may like if my breakfast is typically meat and fruit. For a while, I'll be on the kick where it's like cherries.
Yeah, you did cherries for a while.
Yeah,
I feel
for like 2-3 weeks, and then I'll just I'm feeling pineapple, right? And it's funny because people will think it's limited, but then when you step back and then it's almost like, oh, I rotate through.
Yeah, how many did you
different
eat
fruit over
across
the
a
year, and it's plenty of variation.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have all your variation in one day, right?
No.
And when you think about it, our variation was probably way more seasonal, right?
Yeah.
And because we didn't have supermarkets.
Yeah, things
right?
only grew at a certain time of the year,
if
so you would eat whatever that is.
Yeah, if you lived in, the mountains in Virginia, you're not getting pineapple.
No.
Right? You're getting apples.
Yeah, you're getting apples.
When they're available. So, a lot of people kind of have this like, oh, I need to have like 12 different.
Oh, the rainbow. We answered a question on that a while
things
ago.
every single day, and it's just if you want to, go for it.
You can.
Don't stress yourself out over it.
It's overblown. It's not like gonna make or break your life to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
look at this, man. I don't even know who this is. Nita Naildy. So this is the lamb chop and pineapple.
yeah, I see her on here.
Her breakfast was a cup of black coffee. It's so funny because like so many people hype this up as like cutting like intermittent fast, and it's like dude, they were doing it in 1920, right?
They've been doing intermittent fasting for a long time.
Her breakfast was a cup of black coffee, so she fasted.
Yep.
Lunch was 1 broiled lamb chop with pineapple, and then dinner was 2 lamb chops with 2 slices of pineapple. Right, so very like paleo-ish with intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
oh my God.
and that's actually pretty low calorie.
And she was an actress. That's what it was.
Okay,
she was an actress. Have you seen? Look up Marilyn Monroe's diet. It's funny because you see how different we ate back then.
All right, let's see.
And
what
she was
we
always
got.
considered, like healthy and Marilyn Monroe-ish.
Her breakfast was 2 raw eggs poured into a glass of warm milk. Dinner, she would have steak, liver, or lamb chops, which she would cook herself using an electric oven, and raw carrots on the side. And then she would have ice cream as a treat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even see like a lunch, so I think she had breakfast and dinner with a long fast in between.
Yep, and she ate meat and dairy and veggies.
Yeah, and organs.
And had a little treat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little treat. A little ice cream.
Ooh. You know what? I feel like this is some weird shit you would do, but when it's hot, the milk, she would break 2 raw eggs in there and then whip them with a fork.
It's like the beginnings of ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. And then she would drink that. And then it's a little more detail. So, 4 or 5 raw carrots with her meat. Yeah, that's it. So she was having meat, dairy, veggies, and that's it. Simple.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. I mean, we talk about personalize your diet, your approach. Some people you may find you do better with a more narrow selection, right? Yeah. You can find foods you appreciate more.
And it's just easy if you do that.
And it's a little easier, right? Some people, like we said, if you want to have 12 different fruits and veggies in a day,
you can.
Go for it.
Because some people do enjoy that, and they like the, mixing and matching and creating, and that's cool, but it's not necessary.
Yeah. So there you go. There's some history on fad diets, and like we said, be leery when people attach themselves to specific methods saying this is the only way. And you see that's kind of how fad diets got started and still stay strong today. and they typically end up being quick fixes that don't work long term.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to pass up on the what feels like an easy quick fix and do the work.
Do the work.
Look at hey, what are my obstacles and roadblocks with my food environments and lifestyle, and start working on methods that you find you are able to actually execute consistently.
Yeah. And if anything involves drinking your pee, just skip it.
Yeah.
It's never a good option.
Yeah. That's if you find
there's a whole thing about drinking your own pee.
I know.
If you get deep enough on like Instagram, you'll find it. But I've been there, and it's just not drinking my own pee. I've seen it on Instagram, and it's just weird, man. So don't do that.
Yeah, I'll go with pork chops and pineapple over cabbage and urine.
Yep, any day.
Not even the urine has to be from someone who also has a high cabbage.
No, that's what it is. It was like somebody else eating a lot of cabbage. You drank their pee.
This dude must have just loved that, like, sulfury.
I'm telling you, he probably he was part of Big Cabbage, and he was making bucks off of this diet. That's what it is.
A big field of cabbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let us know if which one of the crazy diets you'd be all right with,
or like one that you've tried in the past. If you've tried some wild stuff and you were like, "That's not for me," let us know. It'll just be interesting to hear.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. We'll be back next week. Appreciate you for listening.
See ya.
As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.